So we elected President Trump because we want to change, to get away from all of this kind of nonsense. Well, now the FDA is announcing they are going to get away from this nonsense. The relationship at the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, the oversight agency over the drug industry, that relationship has been incestuous between the FDA and Big Pharma. I don't know how else to explain it. Well, the FDA Commissioner made an announcement that I think has been a long time coming.
Today we're announcing we're removing industry members, pharma members, from FDA advisory committees. I was shocked when I learned that employees of big pharma companies sit on FDA advisory committees as members of those committees. So we're going to be replacing them whenever statutorily possible with patients and family givers, family caregivers. We are going to be inviting pharma companies to send representatives to the advisory committees, but they can sit with the rest of the public.
Folks, could you believe on these FDA committees there were representatives from Big Pharma as official members of these committees? And may I remind you, the committees played an important role of improving prescription medications that these drug companies would profit off of. Now, what do you think their first order of business is? The money or your health? After everything I've witnessed in COVID, I would say it's the money. And so this is a long time coming, and I want to thank the FDA Commissioner for making this big change. How important is it? I want to bring in now world-renowned doctor and chief scientific officer over at the wellness company. My friend Dr. Peter McCullough is with us. Doc, it's great to have you back on.
Thank you.
Doc, you and I have been talking a lot over the years about the relationship that Big Pharma has with overseers and administrators inside the FDA. What does this change do now to, I guess, patient safety?
Well, let me say, when a company has a new drug and they're going to apply for what's called an NDA, new drug application, and they make that application, the FDA can decide on having an advisory committee or not. And if they don't have an advisory committee, then it's just the FDA officials working with the drug company through the approval process. But these big, high-level products, let's say the COVID-19 vaccines as an example, they hold an advisory committee. The company representatives they're typically the presenters. They present what's called the core slides at the meeting. And the FDA is there at the meeting, and the advisory panel is typically from academia. Now, there are some consultants that are usually privately employed. I think what they're trying to do, though, is they're trying to get influence out. So if there was a consultant, let's say a statistical consultant, who also has a contract with Pfizer, and then Pfizer is presenting their new drug, well, that's where the bias comes in at the committee level. And so what Macari is saying is they're going to clean all that up, and I think it will be an improvement. Now, with the conflict of interest, many times the conflict of interest forms are filled out by the academic committee members, and they'll say, well, they have relationships with these companies, but nothing is done about that disclosure. So, there's going to have to be an action when someone says they're a consultant for Pfizer and Pfizer has their drug up for a vote. They can't be voting on it.
Well, the whole thing just reeks of conflict of interest. It reeks of being ripe for corruption. You would wonder about kickbacks. And in fact, in some of these hearings, we heard doctors that were working alongside Dr. Fauci literally use the word kickbacks in these things. How do we get to the bottom of this stuff, Doc?
Well, I can tell you most of the money that they are logging for Fauci, for instance, are through speakers' fees. So the idea is, where does a university come up with hundreds of thousands of dollars for a speaking fee? Follow the money. Chances are a pharmaceutical company or a vaccine company has given an unrestricted grant to the university, which is turning around and giving it to Fauci. And, that's an easy investigation to do. Chances are that's happening. Listen, people at a high level, former presidents, the cabinet members, they do command high speaking fees. But in this case, it's a form of influence from the biopharmaceutical complex.
Yeah, it seems like a giant money laundering scheme to me. I want to show you something else, which I'm pretty happy about. This is a picture of the new COVID.gov website. Now, before President Trump took over, you see here the headline says lab leak, and this is all about the lab leak theory for COVID. It was basically a vaccine website to push you to 90,000 places where you could get vaccinated. Now it's all about the lab leak theory, how masks didn't work, the social distancing was arbitrary. What do you make of this change of COVID.gov? It's a 180 from where we were.
The White House is essentially capitulating now. Remember, under Biden, there was no recognition of the House Select Subcommittee on the Origins of Coronavirus led by Brad Wenstrup, and there was no recognition of the Department of Energy COVID pandemic response report by Kathy McMorris Rogers from Washington State. Those are two reports that memorialize the U.S. government's position on what happened. It was full of fraud, corruption, and now the White House finally is in line with these other bodies to say, listen, there was a lot of wrongdoing here, and there's a lot of opportunity now to make things right.
How happy are you to see that, Dr. McCullough, after all of the arrows you've taken, after the heat you've taken, now to see the official website COVID.gov is basically backed up everything you've been saying from the beginning?
And you too, Grant. So remember, independent media was getting slammed. We were getting censored, and we were bringing America the truth, and now it's all coming out.
Yeah. Dr. Peter McCullough, it's always great to talk to you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing some time with us, and appreciate your work over at the Wellness Company, too, and your support of this program. Thank you.
Thank you.